Imagine this. You are shipwrecked on a small island with about 100 other people with no hope of rescue. Soon, arguments and even acts of violence between survivors begin to break out. But thanks to your completion of the World History course here at MiaPrep, you recall Thomas Hobbes' warning that life before government was nasty, brutish, and short, and spring to your feet, suggesting that a government be created to help maintain order. Two ideas are proposed. The first is a system where every person votes on laws, major decisions, and the leader. The leader would then be bound by strict rules that limit their power and protect the survivors. We'll call this idea democracy. The other idea is to put one person in charge who has the power to make all the decisions without any restrictions. People who disobey would be harshly punished to ensure order and efficiency on the island. We'll call this one totalitarianism. Now, if you were an average survivor, which government would you advocate for? What if you got to be the leader? Would your answer change? Today we'll answer the following guiding questions as we build our new island government. What are the key characteristics of totalitarianism? How do totalitarian regimes maintain control over their citizens? We'll also explore this big picture question. How does totalitarianism impact society and the people living within it? While dealing with the trauma of the shipwreck and craving stability, the islanders are also facing the threat of starvation. It's decided that one person with strong leadership characteristics should be in charge to help save the island. However, it becomes apparent that this leader doesn't just want to be in charge. They want to be totally in charge. Totalitarianism is a form of government in which an authoritarian leader controls all aspects of both public and private life. It stands in opposition to democracy, as totalitarian leaders do not promote free and fair elections, protect individual freedoms, or tolerate challenges to authority. There are three key characteristics of totalitarianism. One, there's always a strong leader. This leader tends to be popular among their people at first because they promote a singular national identity and unite their citizens. For instance, in this time of crisis, the island's leader promises to bring stability by uniting the islanders to work together to find and manage food for survival. The leader usually rises to power by promising a sense of security in opposition to some internal or external threat. Once they've seized control of the government, they expel any challengers to their power. For example, on the island, some may begin to object to the leader's decision-making, especially in the unequal distribution of food. And slowly, these people are excluded from island meetings, and later, they are nowhere to be found. Second, the government maintains absolute control of their citizens. This typically looks like requiring loyalty from all people, denying basic rights and freedoms, and demanding individual sacrifice for the good of the state. On the desert island, coconuts are very valuable as they provide nourishment and can serve as currency. The leader uses this to unite the people to overcome the threat of starvation. Rather than sharing the food equally, the leader decides to control all of the coconuts and distribute them as they see fit. They implement a new policy that requires every person to plant new coconut-producing palm trees for at least 3 hours every day on top of their other responsibilities. By doing this, the islanders prove their loyalty to the leader and demonstrate their usefulness. And third, the state assumes control of all aspects of society. This includes regulating business and labor, organizing housing, controlling education, and censoring the arts. Leaders can even control small details of people's lives. Wanting to create a unified image for everyone on the island, The leader decides to make everyone wear specific uniforms as a symbol of their loyalty to the leader and the island. They have now begun to control even the small details of citizens' lives. Totalitarian states will also take measures to control religion. They may promote one religion and ban all others, and in some cases, they may even forbid the practice of religion entirely. Pause the video here to answer the question: what are the key characteristics of totalitarianism? While the leader has been busy creating new uniforms for the islanders and implementing a new state religion, some people have been trying to resist their rule. Once the leader finds out about the rebels, they reason that they have no choice but to begin enforcing laws harshly using totalitarian means. To maintain strict control over society, totalitarian leaders employ several common methods of enforcement. One tactic is the use of technology. They utilize systems of mass communication to spread propaganda and spy on the daily lives of citizens. They usually create a large arsenal of military weapons for defense and intimidation. Totalitarian governments also use police terror to dominate their citizens. To protect the island's agricultural resources, the leader chooses some of their loyal subjects to act as enforcers. These enforcers punish any citizens who try to break the rules about the use and distribution of goods. To maintain their loyalty, of course, the leader promises extra resources for the secret police. In totalitarian states, the police serve to enforce the dictator's wishes through means of spying, intimidation, violence, and murder. The leader realizes that it would be easier to maintain power if everyone were on their side. This starts in the education system, where the island leader begins spreading the story of how they single-handedly saved everyone from the shipwreck, even though that's not entirely true. This method of control is called indoctrination, which means teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Governments use indoctrination as a tool to ensure continuing government support from generations of followers. This begins at a young age, when children are impressionable through government-sponsored youth programs. The state controls all educational institutions and curricula, meaning that young people are only learning what the government wants them to. Totalitarian governments also use propaganda and censorship as a means to manipulate the population. For example, the island leader begins hanging propaganda on all the palm trees to remind the people of the positive things that the ruler has done for the island. Leaders exert control over all mass media, including film, art, theater, and music, ensuring that citizens are inundated with false information that appears to be true. Those who suggest that propaganda is false are punished, further consolidating the regime's control. Another tactic employed by totalitarian governments is religious and ethnic persecution, where they create enemies of the state to blame for the nation's challenges. These enemies are often easily identifiable groups, such as minorities who speak different languages or practice other religions. These groups are then subjected to terror and violence and forced to submit to different rules. Let's pause the video here to reflect on the question: how do totalitarian regimes maintain control over their citizens? The leader of the island controls production, creates new policies that benefit only them, and continues to grow their power. Now, remember all those other survivors who had to work more to cultivate coconuts, exiled for advocating for democracy, or punished by the secret police? How do you think they feel? Our island scenario was a simplified example to help explain how totalitarianism comes to be. But in real life, totalitarian regimes have led to the persecution and murder of millions of people across the globe. In the next 2 units, we will explore how totalitarian leaders came to power and controlled their citizens. We will examine the regimes of communist leaders like Mao Zedong of China and Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union, as well as far-right leaders like Benito Mussolini of Italy and Adolf Hitler of Germany. These leaders, despite their different ideologies, all established terrible totalitarian regimes. Totalitarianism is a method of control that can be found in any government system. Therefore, it is crucial to learn how to identify totalitarianism, as it remains a relevant issue in today's world. In our next lesson, we'll take a deeper look into what life was like for citizens in a totalitarian regime as we learn about Stalin's iron rule over the Soviet Union. So, brush up on your Russian, because Istoria i везде. History is everywhere.
Hey, hey.